Hello, Cindy from the Post and Rail, and I'm excited to show you today how to make quince paste in the pressure cooker within about an hour. And so it's a really quick recipe and it's only 2 ingredients. One of them's quinces, the other one is sugar, and I'll show you how I managed to get this going, and I'm just gonna get stuck straight in. All I've done is got some quinces that a lovely lady donated to me because my poor little quince trees are 1 year old, so they haven't given me any quinces yet. So I got these yesterday, and all I've done is just wiped the fuzz off because they have like a little bit of a furry, velvety fuzz. I've just wiped off the fuzz with the clean cloth. The most important part I can tell you is make sure that you keep all the seeds and all the skin. So I'm not peeling anything. I'm just roughly chopping, and I would say about 1/2 inch to like 1.5 centimeters size squares, or whatever it ends up being. Don't get too fancy because we're going to pressure cook it. Now, if you don't have a pressure cooker, this is going to take 1 to 2 hours on the stove top, maybe more like 2 hours in some water to cook it down. And the main thing is you really want it to start going pink at this stage. You want a hue of pink to start happening when you cook the fruit. So I'm just going to put in my pressure cooker, and it's not a fancy one, it's just a normal pressure cooker. I'm just going to put all the quinces in, skin, seeds, everything. Don't get fussy here. What I like about this is this takes about 2 minutes, and you can get a lot from quinces. They are very beautiful fruit. If you get a chance to prank someone, tell them how delicious they are just off the tree. They're not astringent and tart at all. Okay, do a couple more. Any crappy bits, you just cut them off. Sometimes there's bruises, but that hasn't gone past the skin. I think I'll get one more. You want to see how much I've got in here already? And get a nice close up of this bit. So we've got about this much, which was maybe six quinces, I don't know, enough to just fill that. And this bit doesn't matter because when we cook it, we mouli it out, we weigh that pulp, and then we add the same amount of sugar. So it's pretty quick and easy. I'll show you over here what we're going to do. Put it in my trusty little pressure cooker, and I'm just going to add a good splosh of water. It's probably a cup of water just then. Lid goes on. There we go. Put the thingy in the middle so it can pressure. And then let's put it onto manual. 20 minutes. That's it. We'll come back when that's finished. Okay, so that was 20 minutes, and then I've let the pressure die down on its own because I was doing other jobs in the kitchen. But I just want you to see what colour the juice went. And it's kind of thick and viscous already. So that pectin's come out of the skin and the seeds and the pulp. And we've got that beautiful apricot-y kind of pretty pink colour. And also, you should see it's very, very smooshed. So that is exactly that 20 minutes in the pressure cooker. Totally saved me about 2 hours on the stovetop because you really want to start that colour. So what I'm going to do here, very rarely do I weigh things, it's quite annoying. However, this particular instance, it's worth it. I've just got a mouli, and if you don't have that, you can have a sieve. And I'm just going to weigh whatever pulp I get out. So I'm just going to ladle it in. including the juice. I want the juice too. It will cook out of it. What I don't want is the skin and seeds anymore. So I'm just going to ladle that in. And I probably don't need this one. Little wiggle action going on there. And in case you haven't used a Morley before, it's basically pushing through the pulp but keeping the skin and seeds from going through. And when you feel like it's a little bit clogged, you go backwards a couple of goes and it unclogs it, and then you just keep going until you basically all you get left is some seeds and pulp. So I just keep pushing, and it's going to seem like it's a bit juicy, and that's totally fine. I'm not super patient with this kind of thing, so if I can manage to do it, then you guys can too. And I think I'll cut to the bit where I've just got the puree bit in the end, because I'm growing a grey hair waiting for this part. And no one wants to see me do that and be bored doing this, so I'll be back in a sec. About what you should have left, which is mostly pulp and seeds, and not pulp, the seeds and the skin that just can't push through. And I'll just come along in here and just get any other solidy bits off. Beautiful. So if you want to have a look in this tub now, we've got pulp and a bit of the juice that was there. So that's just pure pulp. Look at that pretty colour. It's nice and thick. If I tasted that now, that would be quite sour. Now I've weighed it and I've got 2.3 kilos of pulp and juice there. And to me, what that means is, I'll zero that. I now just need to add 2.3 kilos of sugar to it. And then I'm going to put it back on the manual mode. And I'm going to let it cook in here. And the reason for that is it's a non-stick pan. And I can semi-put the lid on for when it turns into boiling liquid lava, because no one likes that stuff blipping out and burning their skin and face. So I already know that's 2 kilos because I bought that one. And I'll start getting that back on the heat over here. Oh, it's going to be big. Manual. Come around and have a look. So I'm going to put it on to saute. It first, saute 20 minutes and it'll start. I'm just going to stir it in. Oh, that may be too much in the pot. We'll see if this works. I do plan on cooking the juice out of it. Now, because that puree is so hot still, it's just instantly dissolved that sugar. I can just feel it becoming a liquid straight away. Now over the next 40 minutes, I think I'm going to have to press this saute button twice because it comes up with a 20-minute counter. I'm just going to let that blip away. I'll add that little bit more sugar to it. And in about 40 minutes, it will start being a paste and really thick. But what I want to do before that, very important step, I'm going to get this plate here, I'm going to put it in the freezer, so that when I think it's nearly ready, I'm going to be able to test that hot liquid on this freezing cold plate, and it will tell me quickly if it's set or if it's going to draw a line in the middle. And that's just my timing tip of as soon as I put that on, in the freezer that goes. So we'll be back when it's looking a bit more interesting. All right, well, we're at boiling liquid lava stage, and so I've been leaving it off now, but now it's like blipping out and really, really hot. And the color's getting a little bit more intense. I'm going to put my spoon on top, and I'll just put the lid on, but let it be able to bubble out. But that's just going to protect everything around it from getting covered in liquid lava, because that's not fun. Okay, here we go. So it's been 3 20-minute bursts this time, and I think because I put quite a bit of liquid in at the start, it doesn't bother me. It didn't take that long. But come and look at this liquid lava. And this is how I know that it's done. Look at that. That is very, very hot. And as I stir it, it's going to, and see how it's reduced from how much was in there? it slakes off the spoon. So when it comes off in, well, we call it slaking, but basically, and I can see that it's going to set. But I bought my frozen plate here, and so I'm just going to add some to it. And this is how you know if it's going to set. So first of all, it's not really spreading on the plate and going liquidy. And because the plate is frozen, basically it's just setting it a little quicker. I'm just going to put that back on because I'm getting damaged here. So I give it a minute or two, and then basically, well, it's still hot. Ow. So good. But because that hole stayed there, that's jam consistency, but I just need to wait till it's cold, room temperature, which is what the plate does. It makes that happen quicker. And then, that was delicious. I know that that's ready anyway, so I can just turn that off. And give it a minute, and we can see it forming a skin. It's still hot. It was really, really hot. Good though. Work perks. That's not moving, and it's still warm. So I just know that I've got a good firm, look at that wrinkle. Yeah. Oh, good. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, I've got a beautiful dark color. We're gonna get to the preserving part. Now I like to put mine in jars because that means I can put a lid on it and it lasts for at least 2 years on the shelf, and I don't have to go out and get it again, or I don't have to dry it out in the oven. So for me, this works. So be very careful at this stage. And I've got my little station set up. Now the good news is, as long as your jars are clean and dry, they don't need to be sterilised first. So these are brand new jars and brand new lids, but they're room temperature. They haven't been through a hot dishwash cycle. They haven't been baked in the oven. They haven't been boiled. They haven't had hot water put in them, because this is so intensely hot. And when I put the paste in the jar, which I fill nearly to the top, I'm going to put the lid on, tip it upside down for 3 minutes, and that's enough time for the liquid in the jar, the boiling hot liquid magma in the jar, to sterilize the air in the jar and the lid. And then you tip it up again after 3 minutes, and that is good for 2 years minimum in a jar, without opening obviously. But so I'm just going to get started here. Now because I'm doing it on my own today, I'll do it, I'd like to show you how I do this solo, which is like fill all the jars first and then put the lid on. But sometimes when you've got a team to do it, and this was 6 quinces by the way, which makes quite a bit. So, sticky bits. So clean and dry jars at room temperature, and come in and get a nice close up there if you can. Nearly to the top. Now if I had a teamwork going, I would get the next person to come along and grab that, put the lid on, and then upside down for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, I'll turn it up the right way, let it cool, and it's good to be on the shelf for a couple of years at least. So that's how I would do it if there's a team, but it's just me doing it today. So to me, this feels more efficient because it's so hot. There's no way it's going to cool down in the time it takes me to fill the jars. Be interesting to see how many jars I get out of just 6 quinces and 2.3 kilos of sugar. I mean, it's crazy how inexpensive it is to make it. And I can already see that it's starting to set a skin on the top. So I hope you give this a go. I hope this takes a bit of the unknown out of it for you. Watching someone do it, I think, from scratch is just brilliant. I find it a really easy thing to do. All I've got to do though is wait for my quinces to get a little bigger. So I'd love to find out if there's a certain quince variety that's better at making quince paste than the other. So I love the comparison. And apparently there's like 15 or 16 varieties of quinces out there, which is just mind-blowing. I've got 2. That's Champion and Smyrna. They're kind of the most popular ones in Australia to get. And pineapple quince, I've got one on its way. And then there's a whole heap more, which I'm very excited to find out about. So let's see, how many did we get? Let's get my tea towel. Now my next job before I do anything else, and I'll just go do it while you're listening, is to soak this in water, because no one likes those dishes that are set. 11, ooh, 12 jars of quince paste. I meant to do that, obviously. 12 jars of quince paste from 6 quinces and 2.3 kilos of sugar. Can you believe it? It's so exciting. Hope you give this a go, and yeah, enjoy your quince paste. And now that this is actually cold, I can just tell that I'm gonna get a good set, because look at that. Look at that set. You know that that's a paste because look at that firmness. And excellent, it's gonna be great. It's so good.